Hello, this is an adaptation of the CarveWright tutorial. Since the original lesson had no audio, Bud is going to assist those of us that like to hear the lesson at hand as well as read the notes. Bud will use a goal pointer and the actual tutorial will use a white arrow. All movement, other than the goal pointer, is done by the original lesson. This lesson is about regions and surfaces.
Hello, this is Bud. This CarveWright tutorial is about regions and surfaces. Here's my pointer just so you know what's going on. One very useful function of the software is the ability to carve a region down into the workpiece. This region can be populated with other elements like patterns and text to create a very interesting composition. In the software, this function is called Carve Region. We will walk through the different options available with this functionality. To start, we will remove the workpiece grain display for better viewing. So they're going to come up here, but I'm learning at the same time, so here we go. Alright, now we just have the plain target area. The first step in creating a carved region is to place or create a total closed 2D function. You can use one of the available auto sketches such as a circle, oval, square, rectangle tools, or you may sketch your own custom figure using the connected lines or splining tools. The only requirement for creating a region is that the figure is closed, no free ends. A note: an alternative way to create a closed figure is to use the outline patterns function. This function will generate an outline of a 3D pattern or text that you have already placed on the workpiece. You can then use this outline to carve your region. The outline patterns function is covered in the tutorial titled Outline a Pattern. As a basis for our region, we will select and place a rectangle using the rectangle tool. We will then center the rectangle on the workpiece and modify the dimensions to exactly 8 inches by 6 inches. You're selecting the tool, come down, click, drag to where they want. Now we're going to center it. And now they have to, let's see, the rectangle is now centered. To set aside the lengths, to set the side lengths, select the blue dimensions here that you want to change and enter the new length. So they're going to click on the blue, they get a field, and they're going to type in their 8. They're going to come over to the side now, and they'll do the same thing. Turns to yellow. That means it was set. Notice how the modified dimensions have turned blue to yellow. This means that they are now locked dimensions. They can only be changed by selecting them and cannot be changed by dragging the control points until the length constraints are removed. You can remove the length constraints by hovering over the yellow dimension with the cursor and clicking with the right mouse button. Select Remove Length Constraint from the pop-up menu, and the dimension will toggle back to an unlocked blue. Now that our geometry is finished, we can create the region. Select the Carve Region icon from the toolbar and select Carve Region under the Tools heading in the main toolbar. Since the region is carved straight into the material, we will be unable to see it until we rotate the workpiece. I just turn it a little bit on its side so that we can see the depth and know what we're getting. And it's going to clean out this whole section, okay? Just like any other object that you can place on the workpiece, the region has depth. The default depth for a region is 1/4 of an inch, 0.250. We will modify our region to 1/2 an inch, which is 0.50. And you can see they're up there on the depth, typing in the 50. 0.5. We now have a region carved into the workpiece 1/2 an inch deep. Other objects like patterns and text can now be placed into the carved out area. These objects will stand out from this background region. There are two significant functions that can be used in conjunction with this region. We can add texture to this region, or we can add surface or a dome to this region. Both of these features can be accessed under the Tools heading on the main toolbar menu, or by selecting the region, hovering the cursor over it, right-clicking the mouse button. We will first select the texture to place the region using the right-click method. So you do a right-click, come up to texture. The Select Texture dialog box appears. It allows you to select the preferred texture and modify the texture space. The preview window shows the selected texture. So they're going to roll down there and figure out which one they want. I'm going to pick vertical waves, and you get to see what it looks like. We will select the vertical wave texture and we'll modify the spacing to 0.5 inches, which is 1/2 an inch. Right now it's every inch for each one of these, okay? So we're going to change that to 0.500. The texture is now applied to the region. You can change the texture type and spacing at any time by using the same process. Now let's put a surface into the region using the right-click method. We will continue on with the texture still in place. One thing you will notice is that you cannot place both a surface and a texture on the same region. Once we select the surface, the texture goes away. There's a simple trick that we will discuss later in the tutorial that will give you the effect of doing both on a single region. Back to our isometric view. Select the surface. Okay, it moved where this is, so I'll come over this way. Select the surface menu appears. Surfaces can be thought of as different types of domes. Some curve right to left, others curve top to bottom, and still others curve in both directions. Explore the different types of domes when you have time to see the different effects that you can generate. Because our region is a rectangle that is longer than it is tall, we will use a horizontal dome that curves right to left. I'm going to take this back over here just to anticipate what's happening here. So you're going going to click on the domes, and they're going to find one horizontal dome. Okay. And you can see it's a little higher here than it is here. As with our other objects, we can change the height of the surface or the texture. Increasing the height will accentuate the dome effect. Remember again that the height is relative number and is not specified in inches or any other unit. Its range is from 0 to 999. So they're going to come up to the height. It's set at 100. We're going to change it to 500. And there you can see it's much higher now in the center than it was. Our surface is now greatly exaggerated. Play with the height and depth to achieve your desired results. Let's add a pattern to our surface region and see what happens. So going up to the patterns thing, if I move this over here, I'm going to pick a shell and bring it back. I'm going to reposition this now. Placing the shell on the surface may show an unexpected result. In our case, the height of the surface obscures the pattern shell. This is because by default the pattern is added to the composition of elements in the normal merge state. In a normal merge, the two patterns are simply laid over each other, and the highest point of either pattern is at any spot in the workpiece as shown, just the highest spot. Since our dome is higher than the shell in most locations, the shell is hidden. We can change this situation by changing the merge state between the two elements. In this case, we will change the merge type of our shell to be additive. To change the merge state of the shell pattern needs to be highlighted. You can access the merge menu 4 different ways. Clicking the right mouse button over the highlighted pattern and selecting merge from the pop-up menu. Select the merge option from the carving heading on the main menu. Selecting the shell in the carving list and clicking the right mouse button, hovering over the selected icon to the right of the shell in the carving list and left click the mouse. We will use option 4 to change the shell merge state. So they're going to come up to the little box. Now they're going to click on it. Okay, just highlight the shell, and then left click on the box. Click on additive. The additive merge takes the height of the merged object and adds them together. In this case, the shell height is added to the surface height. This means that the shell will actually now follow the curve of the surface. Notice also that the height of the surface is now somewhat lower. This is because the two patterns now share the total height of the region due to the additive merge. Play with the height of each pattern separately to see how the change affects the overall composition. So I clicked it. Let me try again. There we go. They're just turning sideways so they can get a better view of what they got. To learn more about the different merge options, see merging patterns. tutorial. We can add a feather feature to our region as well. The feather transitions the edge of the region from the top surface to the bottom by adding a ramp. In our case, we'll use a 1/2 inch feather. So they're going to highlight the area, just click and get the box. We'll go up to feather, and they're going to go over and click on 1/2 inch. And you can see here on the side where it now has that feather, that ramp. We will now explore 2 nifty tricks for generating complex geometries. First trick will allow us to create a region and put both surfaces and a texture on it. We will use our rectangle region that we generated earlier in the tutorial, and we'll begin by selecting a horizontal surface as before and increasing the height. So they're going to select the surface, find the dome they want, horizontal dome again, okay. I'm going to change the height to go up and specify a number. I'm going to make it 300 this time. Now the trick. We will select a rectangle to do a copy and paste. You can do this using the copy and paste tools under the edit heading, or you can use the standard keystrokes of Control C for copy and Control V to paste. Also note that you can select the rectangle on the workpiece or in the carving list on the left of the screen. So I'm going to click. Ooh, good. Edit. Copy. Edit. Paste. Now you see you have to. I'll be right back. Isn't it fun when the sound of the microphone goes right through your head? Notice that the second rectangle region now appears in the carving list. You will now add the texture to this region and do an additive merge to the two regions. I'm going to click on the bottom one, which is the one they just pasted. Select the texture. I'm going to get vertical waves. And OK. Right click. Additive. Sorry about the telephone. One last modification to the height of the texture will get our desired effect. Changing the height from 300 to 100. The second trick allows you to add protruding areas from within your region. Again, we will start with our created rectangle region. process is very easy. Simply create another region within the existing region. We will create a circle with the circle tool. So they're going to run up and click on the circle, come down and hold the left mouse button down and draw their circle. Now create the region out of the sketched circle. Carve Region. The circle region now protrudes from the rectangular region. You can modify the height of the new protrusion by changing the value in the depth box. We will now create a similar new region using connected tool lines. I'm going to anticipate what's going to happen here. I'm going to move this over a little bit. What they're going to do is draw a triangle. So they're using the line segments. They want the connecting line tools. We click, and come back and connect those 2 points and click. Go back to the Carve Region, and there they have the triangle as well. One last important feature of a surface or textured region is that you can invert. Inverting will reverse the direction of the dome or texture as seen in the following examples. The invert icon can be found on the main toolbar under the carving heading in the main menu. It's right here, I think. I'm going to reposition this again. I don't think we need to do anything. As you can see, each one of these is just a separate little did you know. They're not keeping any one of them at this point. Click. Our dome was high in the center, and now it's low in the center. And again, all they did was click on this. Now they've got the ripple effect again, and they clicked on the invert to make it look more like waves than a ripple. And that is the end of this tutorial.